In this video, we'll talk about the paired samples t-test using Microsoft Excel. Paired samples t-test is also known as the student t-test, and it's used in the Pretest-Posttest design or the single group experimental design in research. So let's take a look at our sample data here. As a single group, we're only dealing with one group. In this case, we're dealing with 50 students. Our group consists of 50 students. And as you can see here, we have the scores in their pre-test and post-test. In running the paired t-test, all you have to do is to go to the data tab and then click on data analysis. And then we scroll down here and then choose the paired 2 sample for means. So meaning to say that paired 2 sample for means in Microsoft Excel is the equivalent of paired samples t-test. So we click on OK here, and then for variable 1 range, we click on the box and then highlight pretest and all of the scores. So we included the header in highlighting, and then we click on variable 2 and also highlight all of the scores including the header of the post-test. And since we highlighted the headers, so we have to check the labels here. And for our output range, so we just have to click on the box here, and since I simply would like to see my output near my data, so I'll click E2 here and then click on OK. So I'll expand the result here. So I'm interested in getting the values like the t-stat here and the p2 tail value. So this is basically the p value. So that's 2.78 e negative 14, or it can be read as 2.78 times 10 to the negative 14. So it's expressed in scientific notation. So I'll just copy this and then move to my table, paste this under t value. So I'll paste the value here, so that's single decimal place or 1 decimal place. And for my p-value, since my p-value is less than 0 or 0.01, so this is basically 0.0000. You have 13 zeros, so assuming that that's already 13,278, so that its value. So I just have to, so I'm lacking 0 here. So that's the equivalent of 2.78 e negative 14. So since it's less than 0.01, so all I have to type in here is less than 0.01. And my interpretation is, if your p-value is less than 0.05, again, if your p-value is less than 0.05, your interpretation will be significant. And if your interpretation is significant, you have to reject your null hypothesis. Meaning to say, the null hypothesis states that there's no significant difference in your pre-test and post-test, or between the post-test and pre-test scores. When you reject it, so that means that there is a significant difference. Again, null hypothesis can be written as there is no significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores. And since we are rejecting it, that means that the pretest and post-test scores are different, or they are not the same. Going back, again, if your p-value is less than 0.05, your interpretation will be significant. Therefore, you have to reject your null hypothesis. If your p-value is greater than 0.05, your interpretation will be not significant, and your decision is accept the null hypothesis. So accept HO. So that will be your decision. So that's it for making use of Microsoft Excel in computing for test statistic for paired samples